So today's tutorial we're going to make a men vest. On the measurements, I have the measurements for size large and extra large. So for the size large, the chest is 44 inches, and the size extra large, the chest is 48 inches. So the materials you're going to need yarn. I'll be using black and white. You can use whichever color you prefer. And a crochet hook. I'll be using a 3mm hook, and it also need a tape measure just in case you're using a different type of yarn and a different type of hook. Make sure you use a tape measure so that you get the measurements right. The yarn that I'm using, these are threads that I thrifted. I thrifted these threads that have been combined together. It's just the normal threads combined together, and then I'm just like combining the different threads and getting this size. It's almost like a lightweight yarn. It's equal to a lightweight yarn. You can still use a medium weight yarn, and as I said, I'll be using a 3mm hook. You can use whichever yarn and hook. Just make sure you don't use a chunky yarn because you need the vest to be really light. So you can use either lightweight yarn or a medium weight yarn. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to chain. Because the vest that I'm making a size large vest, so you're going to chain until you get the measurements you're looking for. So I'm going to chain until I get half of the chest measurement. If you're making any other measurement, let's say for a child or for a size small, make sure you check the size measurements for a size small and then chain until you get half the chest measurements, because you're going to work the front panel and the back panel. So for size large, I'm going to chain until I get 22 inches. If you're doing size extra large, you're going to chain until you get 24 inches. So for me to get 22 inches, I'm going to chain 124 chains. So I'm going to make a chain of 124. My 124, which is approximately it's exactly 22 inches without stretching. 22 inches without stretching. Then after that, I'm going to add 3 more chains. These 3 more chains are going to act as a double crochet and a chain 1. So I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3. After adding 3 more chains, we're now going to skip 4, and then on the 5th chain we're going to do a double crochet on the 5th chain. Do a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, do a double crochet on the next chain, chain 1, skip 1, and then do a double crochet on the next chain, chain 1, skip 1, and a double crochet on the next one. So double crochet on the next chain, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet on the next chain. You're going to do that until the end of the row. And then when you get to the end of the row, you're going to do the last one. So you're remaining with 2 chains, so you're going to skip 1 and then do a double crochet on the very last one. So you're going to place a double crochet on that last one, and then chain 4, and then turn your work. You're going to work 1 double crochet in between the spaces. So everywhere we have spaces, you're going to place 1 double crochet. So 1 double crochet in the spaces, chain 1, 1 double crochet in the other space, chain 1. So you're going to start with the very first space. You do double crochet, chain 1, and then you go to the next space, double crochet, chain 1, you go to the next space, double crochet, chain 1, you go to the next space, you do a double crochet and chain 1. So do a double crochet, chain 1 in all the spaces until the very end. So the height of the large vest is 28 and the extra large is 30. So from the 28, these 2 inches are going to cover the bottom part of the vest. So you're not going to count it because we'll work on it later. So from the 26 inches, you're going to work 13 inches. So from here to here is going to be 14, which is 13 with white and 1 inch with black, and then you're going to do the rest of 13 inches with black. So we are going to work this white until you get 13 inches without stretching. So continue doing this row. I did about 35 rows for me to be able to get to 13 inches. So do those rows and then I'll meet you after the 35 or whichever number of rows you will do. So I finished working. This is 13 inches. I did the 13 inches, so I'm going to join in the black. When you join in the black, you're just going to do the same thing, which is chain 4, and then you just continue doing the double crochet chain 1 in every space. So you're going to do the black, you're going to do only 1 inch with the black, and then after that you're going to start decreasing on the sides. So I've already started adding the black in. So this is about just an inch. So I'm going to do until I'm left with the arm length. So when you look at our sketch, the arm length for size large is 9.5, for size extra large is 10. So I'm going to work until I'm left with the 9.5. So when you get when you subtract 9.5 from 26, that is about 16.5. So I'm going to work until the length from the very bottom gets to that 16.5. So work on that and then I'll meet you after that when we are ready to start decreasing. So the white part was 13, so that means I'm left with working about 3.5 inches. So I've already done 1, so I'm going to add the extra 2.5 inches and then I'll meet you so that you can start decreasing. So I already finished the part I was working on. This is about 3.5, so that makes it 16.5. So I've already finished from here to here, so you're going to start decreasing for the sleeve area. If you're doing size extra large, you're going to do 18, then we're going to start decreasing. Then for size large, you do 16.5 and then you start decreasing. So you're going to decrease because the chest measurement was 22. You're going to decrease until you get shoulder to shoulder measurement. So for size large, we have 22 inches, right? You're going to decrease until you get 15.5. For extra large, you had 24. You're going to decrease until you have 16. So this measurement that was 22 inches long, you're going to decrease until you get 15.5 inches long. So we're going to decrease at the very start of every row. So we'll be decreasing 1 space on every row as we go. So you're going to chain 4, turn your work. So what we usually do immediately after chaining 4 is to do a double crochet at the very first space. So while decreasing, you won't do a double crochet at the first space. You'll skip that first space and then do a double crochet on the second space. In that way, by skipping this first space, will be decreasing. So at the beginning of every row, you'll be skipping the first space, and we'll be doing this until you decrease to get our shoulder to shoulder measurement. So I'll do this until I get 15.5 inches. So just continue until the very end of the row. When you get to the end, you're going to just do the same way. You work on top of the chain 4, and then you chain 4 again, and you turn your work. So the only thing that has changed is that at the beginning of every row, you're not going to insert your double crochet on the first space. You're going to skip the first space and insert your double crochet on the second space. Skip first space, insert a double crochet on the second space. The other things just remain the same. So you're going to do that on all the rows. I'll meet you and let you know how many rows I'll do for me to get to 15.5 inches worth of length for the decrease here. So I did 21 rows of decreases, and I have 15 inches at the top. I was measuring and I think I went past it, and I went past 15.5, and now I have 15 inches, which is still okay. So from the 15 inches, the rest of the rows, I'm just going to do rows with no increases. So I just do the normal rows with no decreases, just straight rows, so that I can just finish the top part. So I won't be decreasing anymore. 7 inches. So from where I started decreasing, I've done 7 inches. So that means I'm remaining with 2.5 inches for me to finish the 9.5 that I was working on. So the remaining 2.5 inches, I'm just going to do straight rows, so no decreases. So I'm going to put the first double crochet inside the first space, because I'm not doing any more decreases. So I'll do this for about, so for me to get 2.5 inch, that is about 8 rows. So I'm going to finish the 8 rows, and then I'll meet you, because when it comes to the top, for us to have this curve here, we'll do, after finishing the 8 rows, we'll do a point whereby we do slip stitches, half double crochets and double crochets in the same line, so that we can have a curve. But because this is the back panel, the top part will just be flat. So the front panel is the one that will do a curve at the front. But then when it comes to this edge here, I'll show you how we work that after we finish the 8 rows. So finish until we've completed your 26 inches from bottom to top. So I already finished the last 8 rows, which makes this upper part to be this straight. So I want to lift the shoulder a little bit, so I'm just going to finish with the last 2 rows. What I'm going to do, I have a total of 40 spaces remaining, so 10 spaces on this side, 10 spaces on this side, but still it doesn't matter even if you have more spaces. It's just a way of lifting, because the shoulder is usually not this straight. The shoulder is like lifted like a trapezium kind. I don't know how to explain it. So I'm going to start with slip stitches, single crochets, half double crochets, and then I do double crochets, and then I go back to the same thing. So how I'm going to start this, so you chain 1 in the first space. You start with a slip stitch, chain 1, another slip stitch, chain 1. You're going to do this 3 times, and another slip stitch, chain 1. And then after that, the next stitch is single crochet. So you do 3 slip stitches, 3 single crochets, 3 half double crochets, and then you do double crochets until you're left with 9 spaces again. Okay, so after that we do 3 single crochets. That is 1 single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet, chain 1. and then we do half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1, and half double crochet, chain 1. After that, we're just going to do double crochets until you're left with 9 spaces. So half double crochet, chain 1, just the normal way, half double crochet, chain 1. I'll meet you when I'm left with the 9 spaces. So I have the 9 spaces left, so I'm going to start with half double crochet while going down. So I do the half double crochet, chain 1 3 times, and then single crochets, and then slip stitch. The last slip stitch, chain 1. Like that. Then you're going to do another row doing the same thing. So you'll see the shoulder will be like lifted like this upper part. Okay, so when you turn your work, if you're not able to see the spaces where you did the slip stitches and the single crochets because they're tiny, just find somewhere on top of that stitch and do a slip stitch somewhere on top. Then do the single crochets, half double crochets, just like that. Then do the double crochets, and then you do the same thing on this other side. And then I think that one row is enough. If you want to finish, you can finish up with a row of just single crochets, but then if you finish it off like this, it's just fine. So we are done with the back panel. This is how it finally looks. So when it comes to the front panel, you're going to do the same thing until you are left with 8 rows. So the white rows, you're going to do them the exact same way. The first 11 rows of black without any decreases, the next 21 rows with decreases, and then you're going to be left with the 8 rows where we don't do any decrease. So these 8 rows, you're not going to do them the same as the back panel, because you're going to do a curved neck. Okay, so do everything the same way until you come to the place where you do your last decrease, and then the last 8 rows you're going to do the round neck. Okay, so I'll meet you then. So after I did my last row of decrease, this is 15 inches. So I want to work around the neck area. So our neck is 7.5 inches, so we need this middle part of the neck is 7.5 inches. Okay, so that means if you take 7.5 from 15, that means we'll be left with 7.5, so that is half of it. So when I count the spaces, I have 40 spaces, so that means half of it is 20. So that means the middle part will have 20 spaces, and then 10 spaces on this side, 10 spaces on this side. So that 20 spaces is what I'm going to work with to form that curved neck. So after you determine how many spaces will be on this side and on this side, so mine is 10 10, so I'll count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. On this side again, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. So this is the middle part, which will be the neck area. Okay, so we are left with only 8 rows. So that means I'll start from somewhere here in the middle, and then I'll decrease 8 rows. Okay, I know it's a lot of mathematics, but then we need some mathematics to be able to like make perfect clothing, you know. So when I start somewhere in the middle here, I decrease the 8 rows, and then when I get to the neck area, it will just remain flat. So for the 8 rows, I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So for me to decrease these 8 rows and come back to this point, so that means I will start from here, okay, while decreasing, because for us to get the curve, we'll be decreasing like this. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 from here. So that means we'll start working from here, and then we decrease 8 rows, and then the other part remains flat, and that is just it. So when you start from here, we are just going to do because this side are not decreasing, this side is just going to remain straight. So we just work. When we get to this point, when we go back, we decrease. So the start of where we start the side, we're not going to decrease, but when we get to the middle, when we're starting the next row, we're going to decrease, so that we have the curve from the middle, not from the edge. So insert your hook. You're going to start the normal way by just placing the double crochet in the first space. Chain 1, and then when you get to the stitch marker, you're going to do the last double crochet, and then you're going to chain 4 and turn your work. When you turn your work, remember I said when you get to the middle point will be decreasing. So when you turn your work, you're going to skip the first space, and you're going to start from the second space. So you're going to place your first double crochet in the second space and not the first one, because you are decreasing. So right where the second space is, you're going to insert your first double crochet. As you can see, we skip the first space, so do that until the very end again. And then when we finish the last one, you chain 4, and then you turn your work. When you turn your work, because this is the edge, you're going to start immediately from the first space, okay, like that. And then when we get here, we just finished by placing the last double crochet in this chain 4 space, and then when you turn your work, that is when you're going to skip the first space, and you're going to do that until you have a total of 8 rows. So this is the first, the second row, so we're going to do this for a total of 8 rows. So as you can see here, this is what I meant. You can see this slanting here, so you're going to do it again on this side. So we'll just finish this top part the way we finished the back panel. Those last 2 rows whereby we did slip stitches, single crochets, half double crochets, just to slant here. We'll do those last 2 rows just to finish off this entire thing once and for all. So the same thing we did with the back panel, which is doing slip stitches and then single crochet, and then half double crochet, and double crochets. And then we do another row. Remember we did 2 rows of this. When you do this last row, you can because you are decreasing on the middle part, you can skip the first space and then do the double crochets. Half double crochets, the single crochets, if you can't see the slip stitches, that's just place inside the space again, okay? And then chain 1 and cut your yarn. That is it. And then on this other side, you're going to attach our yarn where the stitch marker is. Attach your yarn where the stitch marker is and chain 4. In the next space, double crochet, chain 1 until the very end. So remember now the decreases are going to be on this side. This side is going to remain straight. This edge, the edge is going to remain straight. The decreases are in the middle. So when you get to the end, you do the last double crochet, you chain 4 and turn your work. And because this is the edge, you're not going to skip, you're just going to do the normal one, whereby you place your double crochet in the very first space and chain 1. Then when you get to this point, you're going to finish with your last double crochet on top of that, chain 4, and then you chain 4. After chaining 4, when you turn your work, you're going to skip the first space. So skip the first space and then you're going to start your double crochet in the second space. So every time you turn your work on this side that you have a stitch marker, you're going to skip the first space because you're decreasing in the middle part. So skip the first space, then on the second space, double crochet, chain 1 and continue to the very end. When you get to that end, you're just going to do the double crochet on top of that chain 4. When you turn, you're going to do a double crochet in the very first space because you're not decreasing on this side. And then when it comes to where the middle part where the stitch marker is, on that side you're going to decrease every time you start a new row. And you're going to do that until you have a total of 8 rows. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. When you finish the 8 rows, you're going to do the last rows, whereby you do the last 2 rows whereby we're doing the half double crochets and slip stitches. So I do the half double crochets, single crochets, slip stitches, chain 1, turn your work, and then you repeat again. And so now we have our finished front panel. So when you finish the front panel, the only thing that is remaining now is to attach both panels, work on the neck area, work on the sleeve area, and then work on the bottom part of the vest. So we are going to work the neck and the sleeve area first, because the bottom part will work on it separately and then attach. Okay, so to work on the neck panel and the sleeve, we are going to attach the 2 panels together. So first, place the right sides facing each other. And then after that, you're going to attach when you attach the top part, you're going to attach, I know this is black, it's so hard to see, but then the only place where the front panel, this top part of the front panel, you're just going to attach from the end until that part. So the place where we have a round neck, that is the only place that is going to be left without being attached. So attach the top parts of the vest first, and then after that you're going to come and attach the sides. When attaching the sides, you're going to attach, you remember the point where we did the 11 rows without any decreases, the 11 black rows without any decreases, that is the place you're going to start attaching. So you're going to leave this sleeve area and then attach from this part where you did your first decrease. You're going to attach from that part all the way down to the very bottom, and also on the other side. So attaching is so easy, it's just about slip stitches. It's only that it needs you to be keen. That's why it's so hard for me to do it on camera. So just be keen. You can just hold rows by rows. You can also use your darning needle. If you don't like using slip stitches, using a darning needle is also okay. So I'll meet you when we've attached this vest, so that you can work on the neck and the sleeve area. So you're going to work on the sleeve. You've already worked on one side of the sleeve, so it's 1 row of black, 2 rows of white, and 1 row of black again. So you're going to go, you can either start from the very top or from the very bottom here, the armpit area. So you're going to connect your yarn, pull a loop and chain 1. So after chaining 1, where you have a space, on top of that chain where you have a space, you're going to do 1 single crochet, and then where you have this double crochet, on top of it you're going to do another single crochet like that. So between every space and a double crochet, you do 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. So if you cannot be able to fit your hook through the chain, you can just insert it in the space like that, and then on top of the double crochet. So between every space and a double crochet, you do 2 single crochets, and we're going to do that all around until you come back to the same point where you started. And after that, you're going to make a slip stitch on top of the very first single crochet. You cut your yarn, and then you do the rows of white. You do again the same exact thing you do with color white, and you do 2 rows, and then you take your black yarn again and do 1 row. It is so simple. I think you can be able to manage it by your own. Like doing the edging is so simple. So 1 on top of the double crochet, 1 in the space, like that. Do this row and then add 2 rows of white, and then add 1 row of black, and you're done with the sleeve area. So you're going to do this for the sleeve, both sleeves. And then when it comes to the neck area, you're going to do the same thing, but with the neck area, make sure your stitches are loose, because this was the neck measurement, and I don't want it to be tight, because if it's so tight, it won't fit through the head. So you see the way my stitches are loose. For the neck area, make sure your stitches are loose, don't make them tight, so that they can be able to stretch to fit through the head. Okay, so I did the same thing on the bottom row. You can still do ribbing of rows of slip stitches or rows of single crochets, but at times I usually feel like that takes a lot of time, so I did 1 single crochet on top of every double crochet, and I did 3 rows of that. Just the same thing with the sleeves and the neck, just rows of single crochet, and that is it for me. So now let me show you how the vest finally looks.